which is followed by a slow adjustment. It's always been like that. And the latest leap, if you look at it, is this ChatGPT, which is there. And, the answers given by GPT, which is like very easily they give it, at least I would say they are quite convincing at the level of K-12 students, like our students. Now, the panic in the education world, in this case, comes from the fact that the students have already started using it, like the conversation what we are making right now. Positive aspect, because you've given me a different aspect. So they're using it for their assignments, essays, etc. And although, just as ma'am was talking about Turnitin, these programs are available to us. But I would like to just say that, is it the first time, innovation is threatening the education? No, it's not the first time. Think about the times when that Google came in and he said, okay, my God, the Google is going to give all the answers and the teachers there's a question mark. But I would say it's not like that. Every single innovation, the threat always leads to some kind of, I would say, another opening over there. As we're talking, that we're learning from each other similarly. Now, but the question what you have put up is that how we can come up with some solutions to prevent students from misusing AI. So I'd start off with 4 ideas. The first is, let's start off, asking and writing questions that involve system 2 thinking. And second, I would say, write questions that catch misconceptions, not misconceptions. And third, I would say that if you can't beat the kids, the students, let's join them. And the fourth, I would say that create a classroom environment of self-driven learning, so that they know that actually they're hurting themselves. And when we're talking about, right questions that involve system 2 thinking, the way that AI works, at least as of now, because the way the things are changing, you do not know tomorrow what it is, but it's actually very similar to how our brain naturally works. Like, it makes associations between the words it encounters and maps them with the terms of how they relate to the other words, and it has ever encountered. Right. And after that, obviously, with web associations and understanding the human language, it gives us those answers and the combination of words and everything. And that's what ChatGPT is right now. As much as we like to think that, we are perfectly rational as human beings, right? The psychologists have always shown over and over again that we are primarily functioning quick flash judgments, with our associations, whatever we know, and we are not slow, deliberate thinkers. Now, I'll just take an example. Like, let's say if I say a bat and a ball, they cost 1 rupee 10 paisa. The bat cost rupee 1. So, or maybe the bat cost rupee 1 more than the ball. So how much does the ball cost? Tuck there, you say 10 paisa. So this is system 1 thinking, intuitive thinking, that generally dominates majority when we talk about how our brains, they work. Now, system 2 thinking, if you can just give me a second, I would like to share the screen just for a second. There. If you look at it, this is when I'm talking about system 1 and system 2. System 2 is what we need to adapt. Give it a thought. System 1, fast. It's not that all system 2 questions, but at least sprinkle few system 2 questions. Rational thinking, when we're talking about slow, effortful, logical, conscious, reliable. So system thinking is that rational, analytical type of thinking when we are talking about, right, that got you to the correct yet unintuitive answer. It is actually something that we have to carefully train ourselves to. So actually, when we talk this, I would say, as teachers, as educators, we have to, as even I would say as school leaders, we have to train our students for system 2 thinking. And it's important. The reason is, if you image, is that just 5%, right, of that, which is what you as, because now, as the technology is developing, I would say it would be the most important thing that we start onwards. I would just say that, Google and similarly now with ChatGPT, they can find anything, but yet, they'll need some kind of analytical thinking in order to know what to ask from the AI also. That's where if system 2 type of questions are asked, we would avoid that aspect of that AI. Then when we are talking about misconceptions, I'll very fast take up one example. You know, because for example, I Googled, I put it on ChatGPT saying that what will happen if I place a balloon full of water over an open flame? Straight tuck, the answer comes. And I have the answer right in front of me also, if I want to share. Otherwise, it says that balloon is going to burst, and it says because the water inside is going to expand. But in reality, we do these experiments in the lab also. The balloon is not going to burst. The water absorbs the heat of the flame. So this was like a misconception. So in case, as educators, we need to work hard, and we need to actually make it like a good practice to track students' misconceptions and design questions around them. And I would again say, if, for example, you can't beat them, so you join them, like creating an assignment with a Google Doc saying that, okay, I need an original answer for this question. Also create another space, and there you say, an answer from ChatGPT, and there put 2 sections. First is the exact prompt you gave to ChatGPT, right? And the exact output you got out of it. So this way, what you can do is you can compare the output of the students' work and still evaluate them on their creativity. There's nothing wrong in starting from some inspiration. Lastly, I would say that, it's always short-term answers, solutions are there. But long-term, if you look at it, we have to enable self-driven learning. They have to know that they're hurting themselves. This is one of those tough thing, but it's a good thing to do. Ultimately, if you look at it, generally what we do is, we make the students so competitive in nature because, as you're the person, first I have classmate, let's clap for this child, all those things we create. And end of the day, what the child is running after is the clap and those marks, or putting a big poster saying, okay, like my school also, we had a city topper this year, saying that, okay, our school given the city topper. So students, at times, this is a different way of going about it. I'm not saying we should not appreciate, but I would say that is that somehow, yes, everything is important, but can we give descriptive feedbacks, checklist, and maybe self and peer reflections, which we do in schools. Most of the schools are doing it. That way, in the end, they can always grade themselves. And I would say students will surely internalize the idea that learning has some intrinsic value. And the less they'll have the urge to cheat. An AI to, or I would say the old-fashioned methods. That's how we need to operate.